So let's go over this situation. In the middle of the spread, we have the Hangman. And the Hangman indicates a card about suspension. It's about looking at things from a different perspective. It's about weighing out your options. And you're going to be able to figure out what the best course of action for you in the future if you can shift your paradigm, okay? And I know that you're showing up here as a Queen of Swords in the reverse position. This can be you, Aquarius, male or female. It's representative of an air sign, and it's gender neutral. What I'm sensing here is you're feeling as if you can't really rely on logic for the second half of this month. You're feeling as if you can't really, you don't know what to believe. You don't know what to believe. You don't know how to proceed with a certain decision. A lot of it has to do with love, because the advice here is the Lovers. But the Lovers is also about choices. So we're basically left with, what are we exactly dealing with here? So I'm tempted to believe that, when it comes to Aquarius, when it comes to simply love relationships, those are very easy decisions. And a lot of it has to do with just, not wanting to curb your freedom by engaging with this person in a love affair, or even a long-term commitment. So what I'm sensing is whether or not you want a long-term commitment or whether you want a one-night stand. So I feel that that's what most of you are grappling with, or there are other, like more complicated restrictions upon the environment that you work in, which indicates to me that this is not a clear-cut, black or white type of decision. But I don't feel that, I know that a lot of you have somebody that you want, and you're pretty much, thinking to yourself that I'll take what I can get with this person, honestly. But the situation surrounding this is a little bit problematic. And I feel like it's external restrictions that are imposing all these limitations upon you, where you don't know what you should do, because Aquarius, and especially all air signs, I feel, always know what they want to do. And the only way that they're usually like upside down in their decision process is if they have restrictions that are external. Because when you think about what you want to do, you always know what you want to do. But it's the situation surrounding you that might restrict your free will. So that's how I'm seeing it play out. And additionally, I can shorten this reading by just looking at these two cards. So the middle of the spread is the Hangman, and then you end up in the outcome position, the Queen of Swords. They're both reverse, which indicates to me do things differently. You have to do things in a different manner, and that's going to give you the result that you want. So don't be afraid to do things and looking at situations and, flip yourself upside down, looking at things from the other person's perspective. Because I know that, Aquarius, you tend to have a little bit of a tunnel vision when you are fixated on an idea, on a person, on a thing. You tend to go full blown and you charge ahead, kind of like with that Knight of Swords. So in this situation, you want to approach this with a little bit more sympathy, compassion, with a little bit more feelings, I would say. But before you even get there, my advice is to approach this from a different perspective. Okay, so for example, if you're dealing with somebody, for example, this is just an example because I don't see it in this spread, but if you're involved with somebody, or if you like somebody who is, potentially married, you don't know, but if you're involved with somebody who is potentially married, and you're thinking that, oh, I don't know if he's married, but I think I'm going to ask him or her out on a date. If you've got a good friendship going with them, then you have to really think about how your actions is going to affect them. So it might be that they would start feeling weird around you, and then it would ruin the friendship, for example. Or if you have a friend and you're both really, really close, and they're dating somebody that they have no business dating, and you feel like maybe I should chip in, give my 2 cents. But the thing is, the relationship is between your friend and whoever it is that they're dating. So even though you might have information, you want to really think about how the other person is affected. Okay, so in a work environment, even as simple as, you know, problem solving, this is approaching things from a totally different perspective from what you're used to. So you might have been, you know, let's say, you know, Orthodox Christian, and you're approaching life and situation in a series of events in a certain way. It's also important for you to also approach things from like the far left, for example, just to get that outsider's perspective, just to get a different point of view. And I feel that for a lot of you, if you're doing in a work environment, in a relationship, you really have to see how certain choices, certain things will affect a certain demographic group. So that's what I'm sensing here. Remove yourself from this situation and think about, you know, don't treat yourself as one of the person involved in it. Take yourself out and just say, if A does this to B, how would this affect B? And how would this affect the dynamics between A and B? So treat yourself as an objective, you know, think of yourself as a researcher and look at the situation, cause and effect, and also, you know, remove yourself, your own biases from the situation. And in the decision-making process, that's what you have to do. That's what you really, really have to do. And you're still very stubborn, and I feel like you know this on an instinctual level, but you're still very stubborn because you have your eyes fixed on a certain outcome, okay? And unfortunately, once an air sign is, well, Aquarius, it's a fixed sign. Once you have your opinions made up, once you have a plan already drawn out, you rarely deviate from it. So I'm going to say this. Please take some time to draw out your plan, because once you get that plan laid out, you're very tunnel vision. So, you know, get this down first before you proceed, because I feel like a lot of you are just like, in the process, you know, the planning stages is when you're supposed to take everything into consideration. But I do feel that even in the planning stages, you're kind of overlooking a lot of things. So you're not seeing the whole spectrum, okay? So the advice definitely is look at the whole spectrum. Look at the whole spectrum before you make that choice. So even in the planning process, as painful as it is, consider opinions, repercussions, ramifications from both sides before you jump ahead with whatever it is that you've already made up your mind to think. So I'm saying this like in hindsight, because I feel like a lot of you are just going to go forward anyways. And you're lucky because you have good outcome. But, you know, just in case you're wondering why you have to stop and take a second look, well, I'm going to explain the rest of the spread, but, you know, rest assured that between now and whenever you make the decision, you have a good outcome, but there are other things that you have to consider, because we don't always live in a bubble. No man's an island. Our decisions have long-term ramifications. So this is something you want to be aware of, okay? So let's go over this spread. So there is definitely a situation here where you have to see things from other people's perspective. And being the eccentric soul that you are, you're taking this approach instead, which is the Seven of Cups, where you're kind of like going against the tide and you're trying to create a diversion or even to stir up some type of controversy just to get a kick out of it. So that's why I would say that, you know, why are you exactly doing this? And what exactly is the impetus, or, you know, the end goal for kicking up this dust storm, okay? Other people look at this card and they usually think of it as a card of defense. It can go both ways. It's when you have a good idea. It's a card of valor, actually, in the Rider-Waite deck. So oftentimes you have a very, very good idea and other people are not receptive to the idea, so you have to defend yourself. Or you have a really bad idea and other people are not supportive of it, so you have to defend yourself. So depending on what side of the coin you're on, it's really important to think about your idea. Just really think about it, okay? Because the Hangman here this is not a card of execution. What I mean is not a physical execution, but like this is not a card of executing your plans, because you haven't done all the the 360 research yet. You don't know all the angles that this can go. You don't know all the different directions that this can go. So you're kind of premature here, okay? So in the past position, we have the Six of Wands, which indicates a major, major victory, getting the recognition, getting the accolades, and getting, the congratulations for your skills, for your accomplishment. So you're kind of riding high, and as a result of this, you feel a little bit invincible, okay? And that's the danger that's coming through. I don't feel any Ten of Swords, any Tower, anything that's going to knock you down from this position. But I definitely feel a little bit of, just a little bit, sorry Aquarius, just a little bit of arrogance coming through. So you want to really be careful for this rest of this month, okay? Having said that, crowning you here is the Six of Swords, which indicates, traveling from a troublesome situation where despite whatever was thrown at you, you came out victorious. And as a result of that, you became a lot stronger, a lot more resilient, and you feel that, it's sort of like bring it on. I have been through so much, so I am going to be able to tackle whatever life throws at me. So bring it on. So that's what you're at right now. That's where you're at right now. But I just want you to also keep in mind that when somebody is like jumping from one difficult situation, they survive it and they're going to the next, they energetically, they get burned out. They feel jaded. They might get a little bit bitter. So it's really important for you to take some time off to do some rest and recuperation before you go off on your next adventure, okay? Because this is telling me that you are in calmer water now and you don't have to fight anymore. So let the hostility go and let the resentment go, okay? Look at things from whatever situation, whoever has caused this situation, you really want to look at it from a more neutral, from a less hostile perspective, because you're in a safe place now. You found your refuge. It's time for you to unpack and settle down for a little bit, for a while, so that you're not in survival mode, I guess. What's coming? Well, let's do the foundation of this reading here. The base of this reading, something in your environment that you're not aware of. We have the Four of Cups. And when I see this, I do feel that it is, energetic, emotional, and spiritual depletion. Okay. So my advice is take it slow, because this is the base of the situation. There are a lot of gifts that are given to you, and there are a lot of support coming through for you. So the people that you feel are giving you all these, critiques and unnecessary criticisms, or just, people you feel have been giving you a hard time. I do sense that it's mainly because of your own sense of insecurity. It's also your own sense of the overall way that you look at life, because you want to stand out, you want to be eccentric. But I don't feel they're there to hurt you. I feel like they're giving you constructive feedback because they're afraid that you are a little bit too tunnel vision. Just as I am saying this now, I'm feeling like I am a part of this crowd, and you're just like, no, I've got my mind made up and I'm going to go ahead with it. But it's really important as a team player to look at other people's, or to at least take into account what other people have to say and think about what it is that they're saying. I also feel, by sometime for the next 2 weeks, a lot of you might be in the spotlight, okay? And you're going to be very well received. So the best way for you to do that is to play nice. I feel that it's going to, you want to attract with honey. So that's what I'm sensing. So it looks very, very good overall. But my advice still for you, Aquarius, is just to, take it easy. Take it easy and, try to be a little bit more diplomatic is my advice. In terms of what's coming in for you, this is the short-term influence. We have the Two of Coins, okay? And once again, this is a card of time management. And in the reverse position, it does indicate to me that you want to, it seems like you have a lot of things that you need to do. You also have a lot of opposition, or what you perceive to be people who might be out to get you, but they're actually trying to help you. And they're also trying to refine the way that you think. and you feel that, okay, if I were to make a unilateral decision where I'm the only one making the decision, things are going to get streamlined. I can get everything done in a timely manner, and I don't have to waste time with time constraints. I don't have to worry about time constraints, excuse me. But the thing is, if you are supposed to collaborate with other people and you don't, and you do things without consulting them, then you're going to have to go back and redo them with their input. So think about, cause and effect here. Think about what is worth it, and if there are that many time, if there are that much, if there is that much time constraints imposed upon you, then you might need some help. Okay, so let people help you and ask for help. Ask for help. It seems to me with the hangman, like your hands are tied, and then you're trying to juggle two things. And it's like if you're already stretched out very, very thin, and you're in a safe place where you don't have to fight, and you're trying to tack on more things, it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so the hangman, he's also juggling. This guy is also juggling, and then you have the Four of Cups, where there are four items on your plate, and you feel very spiritually and emotionally just drained. Okay, so just take it easy. Take it easy, Aquarius. Try to minimize your obligations, delegate, ask for help. If something is unmanageable, yeah, I'm sensing an element of four. So it could be, two jobs, school, significant other. It could be, four projects, four job interviews, four presentations, something like that. I'm sensing an element of four. And you're a little bit de depleted, okay? The advice here, we have the Lovers, and the Lovers is about two. So I would say whatever your workload is, whatever your load is, you're going to have to cut it off by two. I feel like there are two things that you're not going to be able to do. So there are two things that you are not going to be able to do. If you want to do them all well, then there are two things that you're going to have to cut corners on, or you're just going to have to drop altogether because you're not going to be able to do them, okay? So don't overload yourself. Once again, that's the initial advice. However, this is also a card about love. It's a card about romance. And going back to the initial examples I was using, if you are thinking about a person that you really, really care about, and I do feel that, it's in the upright position, this can just be a long-term romantic situation where things are all, rainbow and lollipops. Or it can be a situation where you might have like a physical relationship with them, which is not built on love. I'm not getting cup cards except the Six of Cups as the outcome. So this is a contentious situation, and depending on how you feel, well, you have very, very positive feelings about this person. And I do feel that there is a person that you are interested in that everyone around you is telling you no, is what I'm sensing, but you're still going to go ahead with it. For those of you who are still debating whether or not you should go ahead with this, I feel that by the end of the month, you're still going to go ahead with it, mainly because other people are contradicting you. And when Aquarius gets contradicted, you want to break out of the norm. You want to pursue your actions even more, which is, be smart about this. So there is definitely I feel like it's a good relationship, but there are external constraints. Okay, so either the person is in a work environment and you're not supposed to date them. Either there is like they could be married, they could be attached. I don't feel that they're attached or married in this spread. I definitely don't feel that. I don't sense infidelity or anything like that associated with this spread because we don't have a bunch of people coming in. So I don't sense that, but I do feel, first of all, there's time constraints on your end, so it's not fair for you to take this person on board and not have the time for them. So that's another thing. Secondly, I feel like everyone around you is opposing this union. Everyone around you would be up in arms if this union were to happen. So that's another thing I'm sensing, and I don't know why that is. It could be you're just dating somebody that your loved ones are saying, no, he's not the right one or she's not the right one. and things like that. And or it could be, you know, you've been through a lot in the past and you've conquered it all and you feel very victorious and invincible, and you feel like I can take this, you know, this is not a problem. And my advice is that when we get too arrogant, when we get too cocky, life has interesting ways of humbling us, okay? So I want you to just think about that in the long run. What is it that you're trying to achieve, and is it worth it? So just ruminate on that a little bit longer before you make your decision, and honestly see how your decision or your actions will affect the other person. Would it make them feel uncomfortable? Would it, you know, ruin the friendship? Maybe you care about them so much, but they really like the friendship, and, you know, making a move on them would unfortunately ruin the friendship because they value it so much. So you want to really think about this from the other person's perspective and how that might affect them in the long run, because that's going to be your way out. That's going to be like the gateway to enlightenment, so that you can get all the answers you need in this complex web of decision making processes. In terms of the external environment, you have here the Temperance card. You're dealing with somebody who's very, very emotionally controlled, okay? So I feel that you are kind of bogged down and with a lot of things on your plate, and you're kind of like all over the place. You're kind of flip-flopping back and forth. You're kind of like rolling around, just very, very destabilized, very destabilized. The other person, on the other hand, this is your external environment, is the Temperance card, where they are very grounded. They are very wise, I would say. There's somebody who is very creative. They're mixing two things. They're definitely looking for at situations from all perspectives. So I would say they are somebody who's very diplomatic. And if this is like in the field of academia, such as, you know, chemistry class, for example, or even like in a biology lab, or somebody that you work with, there's an element of pharmaceuticals that's involved here. Just be very careful, because I do feel both of these cards indicate some type of medication. Temperance card and the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Coins. The Two of Coins indicates like emotional ups and downs, okay? And the person that you're dealing with doesn't have these emotional ups and downs. So this might be a situation that you want to get in, look into. Are you the one that is constantly up and down, and you don't really know how to express yourself in a way where it's not one extreme versus the other? Are you so fixed in your opinion where you can't see things, you know, from a balanced perspective? If this resonates with you, take some extra time to really look at things from the other person's perspective, okay? I know it's not fun, because once you have your mind made up, you want to go ahead. You don't want to wait too long before forming your opinion and executing your plans.